Sleep. We all do it, every single night, right? But for most of us, what happens after we close our eyes is, well, it's a total mystery. We think we're just powering down, and then, boom, we wake up hours later. But what if I told you that in those quiet hours, our brains are actually doing some of the most important work of our entire day?
I mean, really think about this. We spend roughly 1/3 of our entire existence asleep. That's insane. For an average person, that adds up to about 25 years. So the big question has to be, why? Why would we dedicate so much of our precious time to being completely unconscious? Well, it turns out the answer is way more surprising than you might think.
So here's the game plan. We're going to cover why sleep is totally non-negotiable. Then we'll peek inside our brains to see what's really going on. We'll get into the purpose of dreaming, how people have tried to decode them, and finally, what all of this means for you. Let's do it.
All right, let's start with the absolute basics. For the longest time, we kind of thought of sleep as the body just shutting off, a passive state of rest. But science has shown us that it's anything but.
Yeah, most of us see sleep as simple downtime, our brain just switching off for the night. The reality, it's the complete opposite. When we're sleeping, our brain isn't resting at all. It's actually entering this incredibly profound, super active state of restoration that is absolutely 100% essential for our survival.
Let that number sink in again. 1/3 of your life. Now, from an evolutionary perspective, that makes no sense. Being unconscious for that long is a huge risk. You're vulnerable, you're a target. Nature would never, ever select for a trait like that. Unless the benefits were so massive, they outweighed all the danger. So what are these critical functions? Well, physically, sleep is when our body goes to work repairing muscles and tissues. Mentally, it's like a deep cleaning service for the brain, flushing out all these metabolic toxins that build up during the day. That includes nasty stuff like beta amyloid, which is a protein linked to Alzheimer's. And on top of all that, it recharges our immune system and keeps our metabolism in check. Sleep isn't optional, it's foundational.
Okay, so we know why we've got to sleep. But what's actually happening in our brain when we finally drift off? Let's take a look at the brain's incredible night shift. It's pretty amazing.
See, our sleep isn't just one long state of unconsciousness. It's actually a cycle. We go through these different stages over and over again, each cycle lasting about 90 minutes. We start by drifting into light sleep, then we sink down into deep sleep. That's the most physically restorative part. And after that, we pop up into the most famous stage of all, REM sleep. REM sleep is just fascinating. They call it paradoxical sleep because in so many ways, your brain looks like it's wide awake. I mean, your brain activity, your metabolism, your temperature, it all skyrockets. And yet, your body is completely paralyzed. This is actually a good thing. It's a protective mechanism that stops you from, physically acting out your wild and vivid dreams.
It's like we live in two different realities, doesn't it? There's the familiar, solid world we see when our eyes are open. But then, there's this other world. This internal, mysterious, and incredibly vivid landscape that our brain just cooks up from scratch every single night. And that brings us to the most mysterious part of sleep, dreaming. We all do it every night, but for the longest time, science has been wrestling with one question. Why? I mean, why does our brain create these elaborate, often totally bizarre movies in our heads every single night? Well, there's no single definitive answer. A few really compelling theories have popped up. Some scientists believe dreams are crucial for locking in memories from the day. Others see it as a kind of emotional theater, a safe place to process difficult feelings. It could even be a form of mental housekeeping, just clearing out junk files. Or maybe it's a creative problem-solving engine. I absolutely love this quote from the sleep scientist Matt Walker. It just captures this idea so beautifully. It suggests that it's not just time that heals all wounds. No, it's the time you spend dreaming during sleep that gives you that emotional recovery. It really is like nightly therapy. And of course, that question of why we dream is completely tangled up with the question of what our dreams actually mean. And that, my friends, is a question humanity has been asking for thousands of years. This obsession with what our dreams mean is nothing new. Ancient cultures saw dreams as divine messages, maybe even prophecies. The Egyptians even built these special temples where people would go to, get this, incubate dreams, hoping to get some guidance from the gods. It really wasn't until the modern era that psychology started to shift the focus inward, to the dreamer's own subconscious mind. In the 20th century, you had two titans who really dominated this conversation. You had Sigmund Freud, who famously argued that dreams are the royal road to the unconscious, basically revealing all our hidden repressed desires. Then his student, Carl Jung, took a different approach. He suggested that our dreams tap into a collective unconscious, filled with these universal symbols or archetypes that connect all of humanity. So, we've talked about the why, the how, and the what. Now let's bring it all back home. How can we actually use all this amazing knowledge to improve our own lives?
Okay, first, let's tackle something that drives everyone crazy. You wake up from this incredible, super vivid dream, and within minutes, poof, it's gone, like smoke. Why does that happen? Why are these experiences so slippery?
Well, the answer is mostly in our brain chemistry. During REM sleep, a key memory-related chemical, norepinephrine, is basically offline in our cortex, so we're not built to record memories in that state. Plus, the second you wake up, your brain is flooded with real-world information, and the weird, illogical nature of dreams just doesn't stick in our rational waking minds.
But hey, if you want to hold on to those dreams, you can actually train yourself. The single most powerful tool is a dream journal. The trick is you have to write down anything you remember the instant you wake up. Before you move, before you check your phone, just grab a pen and try this tonight. Right before you fall asleep, just tell yourself, I'm going to remember my dreams. You'd be amazed what a difference that simple intention can make.
Of course, a better dream life really starts with better sleep. This all boils down to what we call sleep hygiene, and the rules are pretty simple but non-negotiable. Stick to a consistent schedule, yes, even on weekends. Make your bedroom a cool, dark, quiet cave. And here's the big one. Get off your screens at least an hour before bed. Seriously, that blue light is a powerful signal telling your brain to stay awake.
So remember, sleep is not lost time. It is not the enemy of productivity. It's a deeply intelligent, restorative, and absolutely essential part of being human. The next time you close your eyes, I want you to know that you're not just powering down. You're powering up for the day ahead. You are literally starting the most important work of your day.